Hello Miss Surya, Miss Ari, and all of my friends. Today I would like to describe about my result of analysis of poem. But first, let me introduce myself. My name is Kadek Priska Widyawati. You can call me Priska. I'm from 3A class. So I have analyzed three elements of poetry. But before we continue the analysis, let me to read the poem first. The Moon by Emily Dickinson. The moon was but a chin of gold a night or two ago, and now she turned her perfect face upon the world below. Her forehead is of amplest blonde, her cheek like beryl stone, her eye unto the summer dew, the likest I have now. Her lips of amber never part, but what must be the smile upon her friend she could bestow, were such her cheerful will, and what a privilege to be but the remotest star, for certainly her way might pass beside your twinkling door. Her bonnet is the firmament, the universe her shoe, the star the trinkets at her belt, her demities of blue. Well, let's continue to the analysis. Let's start from figurative language. I have found some figurative language in that poem. The first one is metaphor. I just found one metaphor in that poem. That is in the first line in first stanza. The moon was but a chin of gold. In that sentence, poet using the metaphor to compare two things. Those are the moon and a chin of gold. Based on my analysis, I think the meaning is that the moon is like a chin of gold or a speck of gold that shines in the sky. The second figurative language is ambiguity. I found ambiguity in the poem in the 17th line in 5th stanza. Her bonnet is the firmament. In that sentence, there are two figurative language such as metaphor and hyperbole. Poet using metaphor to compare two things. Those are bonnet and firmament, which means the bonnet of the girl whom described in that poem is like a firmament. Besides that, there also hyperbole because the poet has exaggerated that the head is the firmament. And the third one is hyperbole. I have found two hyperbole in that poem. The first hyperbole that I have found in that poem is in the 18th line in 5th stanza. The universe her shoe. So at that sentence, poet using hyperbole because poet has exaggerated that universe is in the shoe of the girl whom described in that poem. And the second hyperbole that I have found is in the 19th line in 5th stanza. The star the trinkets at her belt. So at that sentence, poet using hyperbole because poet has exaggerated that the star and trinkets at the belt of the girl whom described in the poem. And the fourth one is simile. I have found one simile in the poem, that is in the 6th line in 2nd stanza. Her cheek like beryl stone. In that sentence, poet compared two things between cheek of the girl that described in that poem with beryl stone. Poet want to tell that the cheek of the girl is really beautiful like beryl or jewelry. And the last one is symbol. I have found four symbols in that poem. The first symbol that I found in the poem is in 7th line in 2nd stanza. Her eye unto the summer dew. In that sentence, poet using symbol which can indicate from word summer dew So poet want to tell that the eye look of the girl whom described in that poem brings calm and coolness in the heat. And the second symbol that I have found in the poem is in ninth line in third stanza. Her lips of amber never part. There is a symbol in that sentence which can indicate in word amber, where poet want to describe how beautiful a woman's lips color is as beautiful as amber. The third symbol that I have found in the poem is in 12th line in third stanza, where such her silver wheel. In that sentence, using symbol that is silver, which means that the girl was unfair to him. The girl only smiled at her friend and not at him. And the last symbol is in the 16th line in 4th stanza, beside your twinkling door. In that sentence, using symbol that is twinkling door, which means that being with that girl is like being in a very beautiful and twinkling place. Well, that's all about the figurative language that I have found in that poem. And now let's move to the second element of poetry. That is line and stanza. The first one is line. So the first line is, the moon was but a chain of gold. The second line is, a night or two ago. The third line is, and now she turned her perfect face. The fourth line is, upon the world below. And so on. And then about stanza. The first stanza is, the moon was but a chain of gold, a night or two ago, and now she turned her perfect face upon the world below. So stanza has 4 lines in it. So the first stanza is from the first line to the fourth line, and the second stanza is from the 5th line to the 8th line, and so on. Well, that's about the line and stanza, and now let's move to the third elements of a poetry, that is sound and rhyme. So I just found one alliteration of that poem. So I have found in the 19th line in 5th stanza, that is the trinkets. Both of those words is begin with same consonant, T. So I think that is alliteration. Well, that's all about my analysis about the element of poetry, and now this is the conclusion. The poem describes a woman's beauty like the beauty of the moon in the sky. And in that poem, use some figurative language like simile, metaphor, ambiguity, symbol, and hyperbole. The poem has 5 stanzas and 20 lines. The poem also has 1 alliteration. Well, that's all about my analysis, and I also tell you about the conclusion. So that's all from me. Thank you and goodbye.